This last few years, suppressors have really gained in popularity, and I really feel like we have YouTube to thank for that. Come to think of it, I wonder if big tech really understands how much social media has helped expand gun ownership in the last 10 years. Influencers on all the major platforms have done a really good job showing people the ropes when it comes to becoming an owner of things like sound suppressors. Before social media, the firearms community had very few resources when it came to navigating through all of the misinformation that was out there. Basically, if you didn't know where to get started buying a suppressor, if you didn't already know somebody who had been through the process, you wouldn't even know where to begin. I remember just a handful of years ago, the general perception of suppressors was that they were universally illegal. They were something that were just in the movies, but nobody actually owned. At a certain point, people became influencers on social media. Here on YouTube, we watched a small handful of people showcase different firearms and accessories. Eventually, what happened is a few videos on suppressors came out. They got massive view counts, and the rest is basically history. At this point, suppressor ownership is off the charts. Right now, I think I can find 4 different stores within reasonable driving distance where I can go to. They can help walk me through and submit all of the necessary paperwork and sell me a legit legal suppressor. It's a hell of a lot different than it was when I first became old enough to own a firearm. Back then, we had one gun store locally. Other than that, you would have to drive an hour and a half to 2 hours to find another one. So I've been asked multiple times in the comment section what my position on suppressors is. I actually don't own a suppressor, and to be perfectly honest, I probably never will. Now, you can talk all the shit that you want, but I have my personal reasons for this. I do love the idea of owning a suppressor. It would be really nice to be able to go to the range, slap a suppressor on the old PTR, and have some fun. My biggest issue there is that anytime that I'm out shooting, I'm not the only person that's there. A suppressor realistically isn't going to do me any good, because when I'm out shooting, there are a dozen other people firing guns at the exact same time. I'm still going to have to wear ear protection. Then, of course, there's the ammo. Yeah, my standard range ammo, it'll do okay through a suppressor, but if I really want the full effect, if I really want maximum sound suppression, I'm going to need to feed my firearm subsonic ammo. Awesome. Like, I'm not already having a hard enough time keeping stocked up on ammo as it is, but now, because I own a suppressor, now I've got to stock up on subsonic ammo as well, because if I'm not using subsonic ammo, what's even the point of owning and using a suppressor? We already know that ammo is ridiculously overpriced and hard to come by right now. I don't even want to know what it's going to cost to get subsonic ammo right now. That's another thing that gets me about suppressor ownership is the cost. Don't tell me I'm the only one out there that feels like spending $1,000 on a decent suppressor is a little excessive. Sure, I can file a Form 1 and then build my own once I'm approved. The quality of that is going to be hit or miss, considering that what I'm going to have to work with is some cheap-ass Chinese-made solvent trap from Wish. Speaking of the Form 1, there's another $200 in the hands of the agency that stays awake at night trying to figure out ways to screw you and I, legal gun owners. Think about that for a second. Does that give you a warm, fuzzy feeling? Here's my picture. Here's my fingerprints. Here's the same paperwork that I fill out every time that I buy a gun. Here's $200, and now I'm going to go home and I'm going to wait for months for approval, for permission, for me to own a suppressor. I don't know. It does not sit well with me. Then there's all the rules. I live in Washington. If I want to take a week and go visit a friend in, Idaho, and take an NFA item with me, I have to submit in writing to the ATF a request to be able to take it with me across state lines. Seriously, this is America. And I don't feel like I should have to write up a request letting a government agency know when I'm going somewhere, where I'm going, who I'm going to be with, how long I'm going to be there, what my intentions are while I'm there. It's invasive. I shouldn't have to ask permission to freely travel about the country with items that I've obtained legally. Of course, there are other headaches when it comes to NFA items, whether it be short barrel rifles or suppressors. What if I want to sell it? Yeah, suppressor's great right now, but down the road, what if something comes up and I absolutely need to liquidate part of my firearm collection because, a loved one has cancer and I've got to help pay medical bills or, whatever the case may be. Suppressors and short barrel rifles, any NFA items, you can't just get rid of them. I can't just trade it to somebody else. I can't just sell it. I can't just leave it for my kids when I pass away. No, it is a heavily regulated item. Whoever wants to take ownership of it has to fill out the same paperwork that I did. They have to send in a picture and fingerprints. They also have to send in $200 to those same assholes that I sent $200 into to be able to own it in the first place. Then they have to sit back and they have to wait for permission to own the suppressor. It's crazy. The whole thing, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. And what the fuck does the ATF even do with that $200? I don't know. I guess for me, it just feels like the positives, they don't outweigh the negatives when it comes to owning a suppressor. I think the process you have to go through, it's out of control. I think that the wait time is ridiculous. I think that paying the ATF a fee to own a suppressor or a short barrel rifle is one of the dumbest things that any gun owner can do. I think the companies that manufacture suppressors are flat out taking advantage of everybody when it comes to their pricing on their products. I think that when I'm gone from this world, the last thing that I want my kids to have to worry about or deal with is what the hell to do with a safe full of NFA items. And yes, I could do the paperwork as a trust instead of individual. Yeah, that's going to make things down the road a little bit easier when it comes to, my kids dealing with my estate and everything that I leave behind. But that's not America. That is not what the Second Amendment is about. Look, if you want to own a suppressor, that's cool. Have at it. It's not my business. It's not anybody else's business. It sure in the shit shouldn't be the business of the ATF. For me personally, for my lifestyle, my firearms usage, my beliefs, suppressor ownership at this point, it just is not for me. In the unlikely event that the NFA gets removed and suppressors are then treated like any other firearm or firearms accessory, then I think I'll revisit this topic. For now, though, I'm going to skip the NFA items. I can have plenty of fun with the things that I have without having to pay excessive taxes to a government agency who gets its kicks from putting law-abiding citizens into prison.